Have you ever looked at a painting and felt something stir within you? Maybe you didn't even know why. I've been so drawn to one particular work ever since I discovered it. I've had it saved on my phone for months, I keep looking back to it, and I've done several sketches of it. Today, I'm going to get up close and personal with this master painting, studying it, recreating my own version of it, and carving out that space to press into the question of why. Why does this painting resonate so deeply with me? But before we get to the painting, welcome to Art by Charity. I'm a Canadian artist living abroad, and I'm here to help you see the world through artists' eyes. For me, engaging with the world around me and connecting with people through art is the most fulfilling way to live. I want to show you how art can bring more meaning to your life, too. Today we're taking a closer look at this work by John Peploe, one of the Scottish colorists who brought the vibrant colors of modern art to his homeland, Scotland. This painting is called Pink Roses, Chinese Vase. But first, let's learn a bit about Peploe. He was born in 1871 in Scotland. He was trained as a classical artist in Edinburgh, painting in dark colors like the masters of that time. During that time period, pigments were only available to artists in dark, earthy colors, and it's amazing what artists like Rembrandt, one of my favorites, could do with such limited options. But around this time, there were some stirrings in the art world. Things were changing, and Peploe traveled from Scotland to Paris, the heartbeat of the art world, and learned as much as he could from artists who were breaking away from art tradition and opening the door to modernism. Artists like Manet and Cézanne. As this new form of painting began to emerge, the public was shocked by the new, bold colors that artists use. But now, as I look at this painting, color is what draws me to it. I love the soft pink roses, and the bold reds charge it with energy. I'm really interested in spending some time with this painting. I'm going to be making my own version, being free to make changes in color and composition as I go along. This is really a time of self-reflection and self-exploration for me as I gain a deeper understanding of what aspects of this painting really speak to me. I'm interested to see if I'll choose such bold colors as Peploe chose. I've spent years working in as limited of a palette as possible because I really wanted to develop my skill in drawing and in value. So this is a new experiment for me to go in with full colors, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see how my painting turns out and how, if it's similar or quite different from Peploe's. I'm leaning in to spend time with this incredible painting and see how it will affect my growth and my creativity. Probably the biggest part of this painting that I connect with is the Chinese vase with the figure, the Chinese scholar or poet on it. Around this time, artists in Europe were buying Japanese prints and incorporating elements of Japanese and Chinese work into their style. So having the Chinese vase in there really tells that part of the story of art history of how the East influenced Western art. But for me, it speaks to me on a much more personal level. I raised my kids in China. We spent years there as a family. We have so many amazing memories there. There's just this sense of wonder of doing things with your kids. When they're experiencing things for the first time, you see the wonder in their eyes, the excitement they have for every new day. And for me, I think that was really amplified, raising my kids in China and experiencing the rich history and culture there. Although there were lots of hard days and even boring days, what stands out now as I look back is the really special moments of having fun adventures and exploring and being in nature and soaking up the history and culture together. So just looking at this vase takes me back to so many amazing memories, and it's really amazing how that can happen. We can look at an image and it can connect us with things that are so important to us without us really even realizing. It's like if you listen to a really stirring song, it can bypass what you're thinking at the moment or what's going on in your day and really speak to your heart. Art is the same way. We can look at an image and it can really speak to us. And as I'm exploring this and realizing the impact that this vase has on me, it's kind of amazing. Takes me back to all those memories. It also takes me back to my journey of growing as an artist, of developing my skills of drawing. I did hundreds of sketches in China. And many of them, I was trying to sketch from life as much as possible. So I would just be outdoors sketching people as they walk by, sketching gardens that we saw that were everywhere. And there were a lot of potted plant gardens, and many of these had beautiful blue and white pottery planters or vases. So I have a lot of sketches of this type of vase, and one memory in particular that stands out to me is when our family was getting our visa photos taken. This was something we had to do regularly whenever we needed to renew our business visa to be able to continue to live in China. We had to go get photos taken, and it was something we did as a family. It was kind of one of those necessary things, but it turned into a memorable occasion where we would always go back to the same little photo shop, and we'd all take our turns getting our photos taken in this tiny hole-in-the-wall Photoshop, and then we'd be waiting in the little entryway. There was a huge fish tank there, and the kids would be watching the fish. And on this one particular occasion, I just remember sitting out on the step and drawing the pots and the plants, and my kids would take turns coming alongside and looking at what I was sketching and making comments. And then after, my daughter had the idea, let's go for a picnic. We're all out together already. So we went and got some takeout and sat by the river and just enjoyed spending time together. And as I look back, it's just a really simple but special memory. And I have so many memories like this that I feel really connected to as I'm working on this painting. As I approached this painting, I really wanted everything that I'd learned from Chinese artists to go into my painting. One thing that I loved about going to Chinese art galleries is the artist would often be there working. So his or her art would be displayed on the walls, but then there in the center of the gallery would be a big table with the rice paper, the inks, the Chinese watercolors, and the artist would just be there working, and me and my kids would have a chance to watch and to learn and just to see the techniques, see the brush strokes. That was the most amazing part, was seeing how carefully they would control and move the brush to have such impact with a single stroke. So I want to see how much I can absorb this into my own art practice. I want to see how much I can pick up from those artists and in my own personal way get that into my art. It's going to be very different for me. My artwork is a collection of my experiences, my emotions, my values, all going into a painting. So the outcome is going to be very different from a Chinese artist, but I love that so much of my story as an artist is learning from Chinese art and Chinese artists, and I love how that's represented in my work. So I really wanted to approach the Chinese poet this way in my painting, and usually I'd be really nervous. Like I just went in with dark, bold color, and I think You never know. I never know in those situations, is this going to turn out or is it going to be a disaster? But I wanted to work as intuitively as I could in the way that I'd watched Chinese artists paint, and I was really pleased that in this situation it worked out really well. And as I kept going, I decided I really wanted this vase and the Chinese poet to be the main focal point of my version of this painting, because it just speaks to me so much. And here I'm using gouache. It's a medium that I got hooked on in China. At first it was simply because there just wasn't a lot of acrylic paint available. Whenever I would go to the art stores near me, they would have some acrylic paints, but they'd be missing some colors, and they were never really consistently available. But there was like an entire wall filled with these little jars of gouache paint, and I just overlooked them for so long. But then finally I was like, all right, I'm gonna give these a try. And I really fell in love with their layering abilities. I built my first series of paintings, my China Blue series, with just blue gouache and white paint, inspired by the beautiful Chinese pottery. And I just really loved working in gouache, but I've never done like a full color study with gouache. I've really taken as much time as possible working with a limited palette, and even working just in monochrome, because I wanted to develop my drawing skills as much as possible, and also to be able to create as strong a value works as I could. So I've really limited myself in working with color, but I'm excited to be at this point in my journey as an artist to do some experimenting with color, and I feel like this is the perfect artist work to study as I experiment with using more bold color. I want to see how Peploe's decisions with colors will affect me. The joy of this session is that I'm doing some self-exploration and seeing what choices I'm going to make. So my own version of Samuel John Peploe's Pink Roses Chinese vase is coming together. I've made some of my own choices here. I used turquoise for the cloth in the background, and I really love how this goes with the pink flowers and how it makes that lemon in the background pop out. I love the turquoise and yellow together. And I really like how I've made the Chinese figure stand out so much with such a strong contrast. I've also gone with a more neutral background, which wasn't a total surprise. I'm really happy with my piece. I'm happy with how the background is more neutral and the roses even blend into the background a bit more, making the Chinese figure pop out, and the dishes in the front becoming a little bit more prominent. I like the layering I was able to get with the gouache in those dishes. And I really like the lemon and how it just contrasts with the cloth. I've really enjoyed investing the time into studying this artist's work. It reminded me how important creativity is to me and taking risks in my creativity. It helped me to see why this painting resonates so deeply with me, connecting me to family memories in China. And it was important to go through that process of deciding how I wanted to express myself, while at the same time studying this masterfully painted work by Samuel John Peploe. So here it is, my version of Samuel John Peploe's Pink Roses Chinese vase. One thing I love about art is it's a lifelong pursuit of discovering myself, developing my skills, and connecting with people like you through art. Maybe someday I'll get to go to the National Gallery in Edinburgh, Scotland, where Samuel John Peploe's art is displayed. I would love to see some of his pieces. But for now, I'm going to enjoy having my version here in my home. Pink roses in a Chinese vase, an experiment with color that wouldn't have been possible without the bold, brave work of Samuel John Peploe, one of Scotland's colorists. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you liked this video, stick around and watch me paint a pigeon and share about our family's trip to Poland.